Today, guys, Funko has caught themselves in a pretty bad situation involving generative AI. So if you're unaware of the whole situation right now, Funko's doing this whole 250th anniversary thing for America. They're releasing a bunch of people in history. So recently they did Benjamin Franklin. Next, they did George Washington. And once they released George Washington, it caused so much controversy on their social medias. And there's plenty of other people talking about this right now. There are Reddit threads, and their social media on Instagram, the specific post with George Washington, is just chock full of comments just bashing the company. It's really crazy. So I actually want to go ahead and show you this. So this is the image here where the comments started flooding in saying that, Funko's using AI slop. Like, really, if you just look to the side here, it's like AI generated. Funko going with AI now. No wonder y'all's pops aren't selling out. Why are we using AI? There are amazing artists at Funko and you resort to this, no AI. Which is true, actually. There are amazing artists at Funko. There's one on Instagram that I know of where I've kind of chatted with him a few times, and he's watched some of my videos to see you guys' feedback on, his concepts and designs from Funko. And I'll show you his page in a second here, but yeah, this is basically the typical Funko kind of like AI generated art here. It's the longer body and then kind of a smaller head there. The hands look different. And then as you kind of just go on, like I said, it looks hyper realistic at the same time, just not really what a Funko Pop looks like. And then when you get to this image especially, it's where the back of the dollar bill, words aren't legible in this image and it's just wrong on many fronts here. So it was fairly clear that Funko used AI on this post. What was weird though is if you look at the Benjamin Franklin video, it doesn't look like AI. This looks like somebody actually did I guess the animation for it or whatever. So I don't know how we went from this one to going to the George Washington one, which looks completely different. So I don't know if you remember, but back in February, Funko kind of started dipping into the whole AI thing, and a lot of people were worried about this. I originally didn't make a video about it because it wasn't as much of a big deal because it wasn't super AI involved. And what I mean by that is, let me show you here. So it says, Spurry is kind of an AI-enabled entertainment company, and specifically with that company is they kind of just make things easier as they've been doing this on big budget projects in Hollywood. They're kind of just doing a lot of the legwork, not the actual animations, if I'm understanding that correctly, or any of the art. They're just doing the background stuff that normally they would pay people to do, but AI can speed it up. So in my opinion, I was like, all right, well, they're not using it to make any of their products. They're not using it to make the animation. They're not taking those jobs away. They are taking some jobs away, but not the art specific ones, I guess, if that makes sense to you guys. Let me be clear. I don't like that they're taking any jobs away at all, but it wasn't as, oh my gosh, okay, so I didn't make a video on it. I just figured, all right, whatever. What I'm very curious about personally is how are they going to announce the next one after the George Washington post, because there's no going back at this point. You already have this whole marketing campaign built around all these pops. I think it's 25 or 26 figures they're going for here. So what's the next one going to look like? They really have to take their next step wisely or it's really gonna make them look bad. Now, let me be very clear here. I don't really have an artistic bone in my body. I'm not an artist by any means, but my wife does art. Her siblings do art, so it's very close to home in our family. As an AI should not be present in any artist's work. You should be paying the appropriate people who are talented and good at that to do that work, and not using AI because it's easier, it's cheaper, and you can get rid of a salary that way. That's essentially what they're doing it for. It's faster, it's easier, and they don't have to pay a salary. It's much cheaper. And I myself kind of had to learn exactly what I'm telling you guys here, because last year, for example, when Jujutsu Kaisen Calling Games was coming out, there was a trailer and all that. I think this was back in August or whatever. Anyways, though, I did a video where I was kind of reacting to the trailer and I wanted to talk about potential Funko Pops. And I don't think there are a lot of concepts out at the moment. So I just generated some of Yuta and Maki, and even my wife Bailey was telling me, hey, people might not like that. And I ended up posting it anyways, but after kind of thinking about it, and I got a couple comments of people just nicely telling me, hey, I love your stuff, but I don't like the AI pops in there. And like I said, I thought about it, I did a little more research, and I was like, okay, I get it. Basically, I realized in that moment exactly what I'm kind of telling you guys here is that I don't want to breathe more life into something that is negatively impacting so many people, even though I'm not an artist myself. I mean, I make YouTube videos, so I also had to look at it as, oh, I don't want an AI version of me or something else taking over and creating videos of stuff I do. So I really shouldn't breathe more life into it where it's affecting other people. If that, hopefully that kind of makes sense. I kind of said it weird, but overall I just decided basically I'll pay somebody to do a concept if I want to use it in a thumbnail or anything like that. Or, you know, I'll go on Fiverr. Like, it's really not crazy expensive. It's something I can write off anyways. So like I'm telling Funko here, don't go the easier route because it's cheaper and easy, essentially. Pay somebody to do it properly. So that's where one of the Funko artists come in, who are supposed to be working on things like that, to my understanding, or at least somebody else at the company who's working. But this is Chris Metzner. He's on Instagram. You can find him pretty easy, cmetzner.com there. He does a lot of artwork of all kinds of different things outside of Funko too, but this was one of his favorite things he designed. I went back to a post. This is from like 106 weeks ago, but this was one of his favorite pops that he, you know, helped design and create, which was the Gojo Deluxe. It's such a beautiful pop in person. I'd grab it, but currently I have it packed up since I'm moving in a few months. However, such an incredible piece. Chris here is one of the many artists that work at Funko and create all the pops that we do love, especially with the anime ones to my understanding. And it's just really sad to see that they have such talented people working at their company, and then they're pushing out posts like the George Washington that we saw the other day. I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. How do you actively have people working at your company and then you push out AI images? How does that make any sense? You're paying salaries already. One thing I did notice reading comments is that apparently they have their artists on very strict schedules and like very tight schedules of pushing things out. And honestly, that's just a Funko issue. That is not the artist's fault. That's a Funko issue. They have always been terrible at managing their time, managing their posts, their social media. And truthfully, I would believe that they are probably on a very, very strict schedule right now and running behind because they're trying to run an entire campaign around America's 250th birthday, as well as announce SDCC exclusives at the same time and all the other background things that make Funko work as a company. So I would not be surprised at all if they're running behind, but at the same time, how long have you had to plan this America's 250th birthday thing? If you really think about it, they could have been working on this since last year and had the concepts and everything ready for this year or within the last 6 months. At the beginning of the year, they could have been working on this. And literally, there's videos out there where Funko has stated that they are working on licenses and new pops literally like 2 years in advance. So how do you not have stuff ready for huge events like San Diego Comic-Con? I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know how a giant company like Funko works that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but at the same time, it's crazy that it always comes back to Funko just being super unorganized. And those questions that people ask all the time, how is Funko even still in business, are completely fair to ask when you really look at how the company is ran. I really hope they kind of like take the feedback seriously. Like, there's like 500 comments all saying AI is bad, you know, on their posts. If they do another one, those comments are going to be flooded too. There's going to be more Reddit posts. There's going to be more people talking about this on their pages. So I mostly made this video again for awareness here. I know people at Funko watch my videos. So if you're currently watching, you're listening to me, this is not something people want, and it will be nothing but a bad look. It will be nothing but a bad look. I cannot stress that enough. So genuinely, Funko as a company, choose your next steps wisely. Please choose your next steps wisely, because this is not the direction to go into when you have so many talented people working for you already. I don't care what kind of tight schedule you're on, that's your own doing. You need to have a better coordinator or something, but this is not the answer to push out products. Do better here. Again, this video is mostly about awareness. I'm not an artist myself, but I know plenty of people who do art, and it's just a slap in the face to those people. But that's pretty much all I have to say on it, guys. Feel free to let me know down below your thoughts and opinions on this entire situation. I'm not looking to argue over AI or anything specific like that. I just, again, wanted to create awareness on this topic here for all the artists out there that are doing great work. At the end of the day, it comes down to pay the artists what they're worth and give them a proper time schedule to get things done so they're not rushed and overworked. That's all it comes down to. All right, thanks guys for watching. Love you guys. See you guys in the next one. See you guys later. Bye.